All right, howdy everyone. Austin Powered here. Apologies for the sound of my voice. I'm a little under the weather, but speaking of the weather, it's a pretty nice sunny 60 degrees out, so I figured it'd be a good time to do a little walk around my John Deere 1010. Don't mind the little cabana that's blown over. We had some pretty gnarly wind past couple days. You see that it rallied that pretty good, so that'll end up getting scrapped. But back to the main frame here. This is my 1964 John Deere 1010 track loader. It has what I believe to be, per this little guy right here, an 850 track loader attachment. As for the 1010 itself, I don't really know a whole lot about it, because if you get up here, the serial plate number has been painted over who knows how many times. But for my last video on the review of my excavator, I traded that for this guy. So picked him up way out in Maine, drove like, oh gosh, total of like 19 hours to do the swap. The guy out there was using it on his little farm mainly to kind of like push dirt, rock, and snow around, but ended up getting a skid steer, so didn't need it anymore. But overall, not too bad. She does need a little work, so one big thing, I believe it's actually on this side. Yep, over here. That he had mentioned in the ad, that it does have an issue with the track tensioner. So, as you can see, this piece of angle iron, it does not come from the factory like that. The little, I'm going to call it a yoke, but this piece right here that plugs into the little spring-loaded hydraulic grease fit ram thing that keeps tension on the front idler, it broke right underneath here, and it's a cast piece, so you can't really repair this on top of the ring that keeps the grease in. It's pretty well torched. So I got a buddy out in New Hampshire who's holding parts for me right now, the Bengineer. If you've seen any of his videos, he's got a case 310. But once we make it out to the steam show, I plan to replace this entire assembly right here, possibly the front idler wheels, because I did get that from the guy off Marketplace, as well as all the covers for this to protect it in the future, because I don't know if they use it in salt or because she's a 64. Some of this plate here is kind of rotted away, but other than that, she runs pretty well. The work I've done to it so far, let's see, I've redone the battery cables from the starter going back to the battery underneath the seat. I went ahead and did get a new seat for it. The original one was pretty sacked out here, so you almost sat on top of the battery, and the armrests were made of wood, so I got rid of all that. Let's see what else. Added a little LED bar so she can do night work. Welded on some teeth. Not the best job, but it'll work for now. She does have a bit of a cutting edge, but it's pretty well worn down. There's my my swamper right there. She's been helping. What else? Oh, redid the exhaust, whole new flapper. Definitely not quiet. And so far, that's really been it. And added a little knob here since this was missing. Again, being a 64, it is a little, that's just all slop before you actually engage everything. But overall, not bad. She does have a dent. I don't know how it happened, but it's here on the back side of the bucket pointing outward. So I don't know what they were back dragging, but dented this pretty well. And I don't know, you can kind of see here. So this is the right track, and if you look, it's a little canted out on the bottom and out fully. So it still tracks well, but compared to this guy, which looks fairly straight, I'm not sure what they were. I mean, you can kind of see the gap, you know, right there. I don't know if they were making a left turn and just whacked something really hard and just knocked all this out of place. Nothing's broken here. Still tracks fine. It's just all cattywampus. And then there's a little hydraulic line hanging down there. It looked like it used to have a skid plate when I was up underneath it redoing, pardon me, the battery cables. Looked like it had a skid plate because there were some bolts hanging down below. And the oil pan is rallied pretty well. No cracks in it. It doesn't leak oil. It just has some pretty severe dents. So I have a feeling she probably had a fairly hard life up north. And now she's pretty much a toy that I plan to use at the steam show in Brownsville, the National Pike one. May, I think it's 16 and 17 if I'm not mistaken. But trying to get her prepped for that. But a quick overview of the controls. So unlike a case, this does have steering clutches. There's no steering brake. So I don't know, there's pros and cons to each. I'd say a con for this one is once the steering clutch goes out, a lot of these machines get parked because it's such a task to essentially rip all of this out and get to them because they're all way up under here. And I don't know the cost of it yet. Luckily these ones seem to be pretty good. I went through and adjusted them, just the levers here, because there was, again, a little, so you can see there's still some slop, but again, she's 62 years old. But we'll hop up in here. A little different from a dozer, but you have your clutch right here. You have your full-blown brake. Not a whole lot of give to it. I mean, that might be fully gone. But here's your shifter. For the most part, run it just in first gear, right there, neutral. Now, what's cool about these John Deeres is you have your power shifter, I believe it's called. So you run it there. That's forward. Neutral is give or take right here, and then you have, actually it might just be reverse right there. That's probably like neutral, forward, reverse. So without even having to put in the clutch, shift over to reverse, leave it in first gear and go, driving forward, grab a scoop of dirt, back right up. Pretty simple, kind of a neat little thing they have. I haven't really heard much about these going out, but I did just add some hydraulic oil to it because there's a whole bunch of places you got to add engine oil, hydraulic oil, power shift oil, transmission oil. I think there's oil for each steering sprocket thing that I still need to check. We'll get into that. And then here's your throttle: full throttle, no throttle, LED bar, oil pressure gauge. That is 0. It does move when you run it, but I don't know, this might have to be replaced. Tach doesn't work, temp does, and battery gauge does. And then this is your preheat button, so it does have working glow plugs, which is nice. Oh, another oil we got to check, it does have an oil bath air cleaner. So again, 1960s technology. Everything for the most part takes oil to some degree. Other than that, one other project I'll need to do, so this pin right here, which is for the main arm assembly that makes the whole thing go up and down, it had broken, so I kind of welded that because it has, as you can see, it's supposed to be 2 through bolts with like a little keeper that belongs to this plate. This guy can come off, but it keeps this pin in the same spot. And then there's like a grease zert right in there, so you can grease this whole pin assembly. Same with pretty much all of them, at least up here. But this pin seems to be seized, as well as it's not taking grease, which isn't a big deal now. Again, this isn't like an everyday money-making machine, but down the line, probably need to knock this pin out, get a new one, because I wouldn't be surprised if the whole grease fitting up in there is probably rusted or filled with dirt to some degree because it won't take any grease at all. On top of, it really doesn't move because I took this thing off, had it running, going up and down, and all it did was more or less move like in and out this way, not actually rotate. So that'd be another future project, on top of maybe at some point giving this thing a good paint job. These are kind of cool machines. You don't see a whole lot of them anymore just because one, I think because of the steering clutch problems. Once those go, they kind of get parked. On top of nowadays you got skid steers, and wheel loader technology has kind of surpassed these, so you don't really see too many commercial outfits using these a whole lot. I mean, there are some out west I've seen. Might depend on, I guess, company preference or heck, even soil type. I'm not entirely sure, but figured we'd go ahead and get her going, so it won't be a full-blown cold start just because it's 60 degrees out. But she has been sitting for a couple weeks, so you kind of pop up her new seat here, get that like so, and battery goes in there. So let me get that hooked up and we'll go from there. All right, so here's the setup to kind of get her going. Granted, she's mainly been, I got her back in November, so she's only really been started up in cold weather. At some point I'll probably need to replace the battery, but this is the one that came with it when I got it. So I got the jumper pack, got the little dust thing off so you can put in the proprietary ether, which there ain't much left in it. One of my, and of course it goes overboard. But anyways, so one of my buddies had mentioned, since it does take a bit to get started, once it's going, it's going, but it might need a valve job, which I don't disagree, it probably does. The only thing is, it'll be a wee bit of a task because the fuel tank on a John Deere sits above, as you can see, fuel tank, right above the valve cover, so can't just unfortunately yank the hood off and get to the valve cover that way. And of course, me being stunned, I decided to give it a full tank of diesel, so it's got all 12 gallons in there that I would need to finagle with to get the fuel tank out of the way. Not a big deal, but doable. But that's something to get done, hopefully before the that's neutral, before the steam show in, oh geez, month and a half. So all right, we'll go through the starting procedure. Provided if that guy weren't there, you just sit here, neutral obviously, clutch in. I'm gonna go ahead. Oh, another thing you need, silly me, might help if you actually had the keys to start it with. It's another thing you'll need. No push button or fob here. So key goes into the ignition like so, and throw the leg over and sit over yonder, clutch in, neutral, power. As you can see, volts work, and you press this guy, glow plugs. So we'll let it sit for a bit. 11.9, not stellar, but again, kind of warm out, so doable. Let's see what she does. So the guy said this, full throttle. I like to go a smidge back. All right, ready to disturb the peace here. full idle for full throttle right now. It wasn't too bad. So I'll pull that off. I'll bring her down a little bit. Now, sprays. Pull the clutch out. Just always like to spin it. Yep, so I gotta push back in. It ain't quite warmed up yet. But so, we're going to pull the clutch out. Alright, we might have it now. So, put that guy back on. That will slowly come up. No idea what that red light means, but not worried about it. So, grab this guy. There. Put these guys on. Alright. Pardon if I yell, but here's your control for the bucket. So pull up. And go in. Definitely cold. Not too bad. I mean, might have a slight leak. We'll fix that. I'm here to build a skid pan for it. Picked up some of the material for that. Yeah, not a bad little machine. So, shut her down. Pretty much I just make sure she's in idle. Of course, you know, out of gear, all that. So again, it's mechanical, so turn the key off, and then this is your fuel shut off. Oh. That's not it, sorry. That's the primer. It's this guy. That's how you shut off. That I think is a fuel primer, but that's really about it. See how she starts up. Like nothing. Not a bad trade for a Chinese excavator. So, pretty much it.